reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard. Like early 90s heavy metal hard.
I'm yelling and screaming and I'm loud. Roar.
Geico makes it easy. You can review and update your policy or report a claim on Geico.com or the Geico mobile app. Because shouldn't we all have a little less stress in our lives?
I'm not even upset about anything.
All right, welcome back to the Balance. 90 minutes in the book, man. I had time flies when you're having fun. Thanks to Matthew Embry, WSVT up in South Bend, breaking down some March Madness for us in the first half hour, sticking around with us with Tyson Lautschlager, talking some Indy Car, Circuit of Americas in Austin, first time they've been there. And then just now, Steve Wilson, our official NASCAR contributor, breaking down the West Coast swing, and now they're back. And they're at the short track in Martinsville this weekend, and Xfinity taking the series off. But it is March Madness, and it doesn't get any better than this week. And joining us now to help us break down the brackets and who's still intact and who's busted and what's going to happen today, Mo from the BS Sports Show. This is like the third Christmas. I'm just saying you got Christmas, Indianapolis 500, and March Madness, and not necessarily in that order. How are you, sir?
Good, but I have a bone to pick with you today to start off.
Oh, my goodness. Go right ahead. Get your bone ready.
So you're yeah, that's what she said. No, you are not allowed to say you're dominating the our bracket challenge because you filled out more than one bracket. So, like, if you did that at a radio station, you would be disqualified. And for the guy who did fill out two at a radio station, if he ever talks about his bracket, he automatically is disqualified and has to be our slave basically for a week. So you can't fill out more than one and say you're dominating. I can fill out one and say I suck, but you can't fill out one and say you're dominating.
You filled out two as well, and so in full disclosure, the other one's not doing so good. You only filled out one? Oh, I thought you filled out two.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I only did one.
Oh.
That's all. I only do one every year.
All right.
All right, we can move on. I feel better now. Now we can move on.
Oh, by the way, I'm dominating. Number one, I'm the host, and it's my bracket. But let's talk about some of the action. It's been exciting all week. I mean, we've been opening up presents since Thursday. We're going to continue to do it all weekend. But let's talk a little bit about some of the big upsets. Obviously, one of the biggest upsets, if you will, I think it's an upset anyway, and that was the number 10 seed upsetting the number 7 seed, and that's obviously Minnesota and Louisville. A lot of people didn't like that matchup because of the Patino relationship there. Didn't seem to bother him that much, but Minnesota came ready and prepared to play Louisville, and Louisville couldn't get it done. Hence Minnesota, Michigan State, big matchup, Big Ten matchup in the tournament. But what are your thoughts about that Minnesota-Louisville game?
Well, man, I picked Minnesota in that game just because after watching Louisville this year, with all the changes and things they've had, I didn't think that they would be ready to play. It's been a rough year for them. Yeah, they still pulled themselves a decent seed, but I didn't feel like this was the game they were ready to play. And Minnesota's played very well this year under Richard Pitino. He's really got this program moving in the right direction. So I think like it was to you, to me it wasn't really that big of an upset because I thought Minnesota was the better team. But when you look at name value, you're right. It is an upset just in the eyes of people. And that's the thing too, Tom, when you're doing these brackets like this, people who are casual fans who fill them out, they recognize the name Louisville and they're like, yeah, they're good. And I think a lot of times they'll pick off just, name value that they recognize. So sometimes that's where you can pick up games like this. If you can predict these close, these upsets, it's a way to really move forward in your bracket challenge because people a lot of times will just pick on name value alone. They don't know the lesser teams that well.
Well, and that's a lot of times why I say, maybe those people that know a lot about basketball don't do as well as those people who don't know a lot about basketball. They might just pick because they like the mascot or the team uniforms. They do well because a lot of times there are these upsets. Another upset that happened, number 12, Murray State schooled, no pun intended, Marquette in the 83-64 victory. Really, I think two words would explain this. Well, actually, only one, and that's J.A. Morton, 17 points, 16 assists, 11 rebounds, and formed the triple-double, in the first triple-double in the tournament since Michigan State's Draymond Green did that a few years back. So no surprise there that when you have a player like that putting up those kind of numbers, that you're able to beat a team like Marquette. Talk with us a little bit about that upset and really what does it mean to the tournament overall?
I think, there's another team. It's funny, these last two teams we talked about have been teams that Indiana beat this year, some of their bigger wins. But, I think this performance by him in this tournament, and if it continues on like this, you could see him, jump ahead of R.J. Barrett, maybe be the number 2 overall draft pick in the NBA draft. This kid's special, man. He's got a lot of skills. He can shoot all over the floor. He can create. He can pass. Obviously, he can rebound. And he's great on the defensive end, too. So, minus an amazing tournament from R.J. Barrett, we've talked about Zion and R.J. going 1-2 all year long, but it's very good possibility that he could leapfrog R.J. Barrett to be the number 2 pick in the draft. Murray State, they're one of those teams that, you look at these 12-5 matchups every year, and a lot of times you look at the 12 seed and go, man, they're better than the 12. But Murray State got slotted there, and they're a lot of fun to watch. You got guys who can shoot the ball. They got guys who can score, and they're not afraid to go out there and play on the defensive end, too. They're not just a running team. So, Marquette, again, they're a team that benefited from, somewhat easy conference play. But, it's this Murray State team, man, they're tried and true. They're definitely a fun Cinderella that we could be talking about next weekend again.
Oh, or we might be talking about Liberty, but or Wolfond, right. But another big upset this week that we saw was number 10 Florida upsetting the number 7 Nevada Wolfpack 70-61. The Florida defense has spoken and just basically stepped up and said, "Not here, not now. We're moving on." In Nevada, going home.
Well, here's the thing that you look at, because I think this year more than any other year, the tournament committee, the selection committee, they gave better seeds and they gave a lot of respect to these mid-majors. And a lot of these mid-majors now who've gotten the higher seeds have come out and disappointed against some of these, blue blood programs like Florida. So this could hurt the mid-major standings in the years coming. We saw a lot of mid-majors a lot of times stay around, the 12, the 14 seed, maybe a 9 or 8. But, we've seen a couple of these teams this year get higher seeds. Nevada was one of them. They're another team that, put together a good string of wins, had a couple of good victories throughout the year. But again, their conference isn't the toughest conference in the world to play in, and you get a team like Florida who plays in the SEC and is battle tested all year long, and then you come out and you see what happens when they're a lesser seed. Is Florida the Florida of old? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. But they're a team that's battle tested all season long, unlike this Nevada team, and I think we saw how that worked out there.
Yesterday saw a big matchup at the office. We were actually working, but they had the game streamed on. Yeah, they had the game streamed on our big TVs throughout the office, and part of our offices have little lounge areas with couches and that sort of stuff, and every one of those were full during this Iowa-Cincinnati game. And full disclosure, our HR director is a Cincinnati Bearcat fan. A couple of our vice presidents are Iowa fans. It got tense there for a while, but huge upset yesterday. Good to see Iowa come out on top against the Bearcats, and we'll see if HR goes around firing VPs on Monday. No, I'm just kidding. But I tell you what, our whole office erupted when Cincinnati went down. I don't know if Cincinnati's hated that much or Iowa's loved that much, but it was a huge win for Iowa. Talk with us about the upset against the Hawkeyes over the Bearcats.
Well, I think a lot of people, including the analysts when they did Selection Sunday, were surprised that Cincinnati got that bad of a seed. I think they figured they'd be a 4 or a 5. And then for Cincinnati to lay an egg in Columbus, where they definitely would have had the home crowd advantage, I think was just terrible. This is 5 years in a row now where Cincinnati's failed to make it out of the first weekend. We saw our team, Indiana, go through this a couple of years back, where now they can't even make the damn tournament, but when they were getting knocked out in the first round for a good stretch. So it's frustrating to do all that work all season long, make the tournament and get knocked out. But that's the other thing that makes this tournament great. But yeah, I think Cincinnati, where they definitely had the advantage of playing in Columbus, definitely laid an egg. And they complained about people complained about their seeding, but maybe the selection committee got it right. But you're right, big win for Iowa. Iowa, who's been a very Jekyll and Hyde team this year, who we see win big games and win close games, but also get blown out by lesser teams. So it's another good win for the Big Ten.
What I would consider, by looking at it on paper, one of the biggest upsets came with number 13 UC Irvine against number 4 Kansas State, 70-64. Kansas State seemed vulnerable from the start, but let's make no bones about it. UC Irvine has one of the strongest defenses in the nation, and it's no surprise to me that they were able to beat Kansas State. A lot of people thought this was a big upset, and on paper it is, because you have a lower seed falling to the opposite. You have the number 13 beating the number 4. I'll get it out. But talk with us a little bit about that matchup.
Well, here's what happens a lot of times. We see where these 13, 14, 15, 16s, they get a lead early, they keep it close, and then things fall apart in the second half because the momentum, they can't keep it in their favor. They start making some mistakes because they realize how big that the moment is. And so we see teams that have, these Cinderellas, have fall apart in the second half, or fall apart, in a 10-minute stretch in the second half, and let the higher seed take advantage. We saw that with a couple of teams. We saw Gardner-Webb lead Virginia at the half yesterday, then they couldn't keep that momentum going like UMBC did last year against them. So I really credit a team like UC Irvine, and you're right, with their defense is what really kept them in that game and able to win that game in the second half, just because the moment wasn't too big for them. They went with what got them there, which was their stingy defense, and it worked out for them. So you're right, Kansas State, I think we saw was vulnerable, but UC Irvine was able to show that, hey, this moment's not too big for us, and we can go with what got us here.
Another big upset last night was a Big Ten team getting upset by Oregon, and that's the Oregon and Wisconsin. Oregon's defense and their offense, and Wisconsin was just they didn't really have an answer, and they never really got a whiff during the game. So certainly good win for number 12 Oregon, upsetting number 5 Wisconsin, 72-54. I believe Wisconsin was the first Big Ten to fall.
Yeah, Wisconsin, what a shocker, because they've been a team who's been in almost every game this year so far. They're a team that relies a lot on Ethan Happ, but, just the rest of the team didn't seem to show up yesterday. And it just looked like, as the game wore on, that they're a team that I don't know if they just hit the wall because it was such a long, grueling season. And sometimes when you're playing those close wins and it's, a lot of your games in the Big Ten season are close games, that tends to wear a team out. Plus, let's not forget, Tom, that these Big Ten teams, we went to a 20-game schedule this year, which may not seem like a lot, but, when you're playing, competition like Big Ten teams all year, for 2 more games as opposed to playing 2 more cupcakes, I think it does make a difference. It's a lot more grueling than them playing the cupcake teams before your conference starts. So I think maybe those 2 extra games maybe were an issue, but to see a team that good lay an egg like that in the tournament was not great last night. And let's be honest, they were pretty much dominated by Oregon last night.